I don't think that there was a single piece of media that was more important to me when I was a kid than the Hunger Games. Maybe Percy Jackson competes, but that's it. It's really a battle between giants when it comes to what I would base my entire personality around. The year was 2011, and the original Hunger Games trilogy had been completed, but none of the movies were out yet. And it's the beginning of the peak of golden age young adult dystopia, even though I would argue that nothing would quite reach the height that the Hunger Games would set right at the beginning. I'm 11 with a fuck-ass bob reading a book from a box set I got for Christmas that is probably not age appropriate, but I mean, it's not like I'm going to be telling anybody that. I'm basically seeing color for the first time. I'm not going to read something that hits this hard again for like years. Fast forward a little bit, and I'm 24 and still obsessed with this series, even though I try to be a little bit more normal about it. And it's been 15 years since the original trilogy was finished, and then we got one more book unexpectedly 10 years later that people did not appreciate enough at the time until the movie came out. And I'll be honest, after that, I kind of thought that Suzanne Collins would hang it up. I didn't think we'd get anything else. I didn't think I'd get to read about any other Hunger Game beyond the copious amount of fan fiction that I've consumed in the years since. But then, when the world needed her most, she came back with Sunrise on the Reaping. Let's go pick it up. We've done it. Bag secured. This was $30, by the way, in case you're wondering. Suzanne Collins knows that we all have jobs now, all of the people who are buying this, but who's the chump who's dropping the $30 on this book? It's me, and it's going to be worth it. Believe it or not, I'm actually kind of late to this. I'm picking this up like a week after release because I was really busy on Tuesday when it came out, and then when I went to the bookstore after that, it was out of stock. So I have spent the last few days of my life on this planet furiously scrolling away from anything even kind of adjacent to the Hunger Games that I've seen on social media, because I will drive my car like to the coast and into the ocean before I get spoiled for this. All that I know right now is that it's supposed to be sad, which, I mean, haymitch is an alcoholic. Don't get me wrong, he's my alcoholic. He's dad, he's family, but let's just say I'm not surprised that bad things happen in his book, given what we know about his lore. If you're unaware, by the way, this is haymitch's story. It's a prequel about the second quarter quell, which is the one where double the people were reaped and double the people died, and then haymitch like throws an axe into the force field to win not only the games, but also a lifetime of emotional torment. But what does that actually look like? How much is what Katniss knows about haymitch's backstory true? How much of it is kind of invented? Why is this being released now, 15 years later? Like, the people have been clamoring for a haymitch prequel for a very, very long time. This is not a novel idea. And in this video, I'm going to read this book, vlog it, talk about it, just chronicle my swift descent into the sweet oblivion of nostalgia. It's going to be full spoilers. There's too much lore, really, for me to realistically be able to talk about this book like at all without spoiling it. It's honestly already been kind of hard. So I mean, with that, like, if you want to go into this book truly blind under the cover of night, that's your warning about this video. I mean, again, like, I've been on a media blackout for the last week, so I get it, but just be careful clicking on things with this thumbnail in the future, okay? But I feel like this is what the people want. I mean, this is certainly what I want, so this is the way we're gonna do it. Okay, now that everybody who's worried about spoilers is gone, earlier I was like, oh, I expected to be sad because he's an alcoholic, but also, like, who wouldn't become an alcoholic after the Capitol kills his entire family? You know what I'm saying? I'm not rereading the original trilogy for this video, but I don't think I'm misremembering. It wasn't enough, apparently, to just make him the one survivor of a murder game that had 48 people inside of it. The Capitol also killed his entire family after he did the Axe force field thing, because they viewed that as an act of rebellion, since you're not supposed to use the system of the game inside of the game itself. So they thought it would be cool to just give him nothing to live for, and also then to have him spend like the next 24 years getting to know and training other kids who will eventually also get slaughtered. But all of this lore is stuff that you learn inside of the first 3 books. We actually know like a decent amount about haymitch's backstory, and I can see why that makes for like a million fanfics about his Hunger Games. That makes sense to me. But like a new primary source new canon after like 15 years. It's like unthinkable. It's like the second coming. I feel like I'm about to get raptured. I just hope that there's anything left of me at the end of this video. I hope that it's anything other than exactly what I expect. Me when it's a prequel and I'm chained to the canon, I'm chained to the version of Haymitch that we get to know in the actual series, who is clearly just not doing well. Like, he's not having a good time. Oh, he's such a sweet man. I don't want to see him get fucked up. The forbidden quadruple epigraph. It's time, dude. We're so back. Page 5, and it already hurts. They gave him a girlfriend and a 10-year-old brother and a hardworking single mom. Dude, the dread that I feel right now should be studied. Horror movies wish that they could make me feel like this. Okay, hi. Went to get dinner. Now it's dark, but I'm back. Bro didn't even get called during the reaping. It was supposed to be this other kid who tried to run away and then just got like gunned down in the middle of the square. All those peacekeepers just bravely keeping peace. And Haymitch's girlfriend, Lenore Dove, gets involved trying to like help out this kid's mom, and then a peacekeeper is about to smack her with his rifle, and Haymitch steps in and is like, no, stop. And the Capitol reps see all of this happen and step in, and they're like, oh joy, a new volunteer, and they just slide him into the dead kid's place. And coming from somebody who has like a bone deep love and appreciation for Haymitch, that is just, it's so unfortunate. This man should be eating gumdrops with his girlfriend and playing with his little brother and listening to the Cubby sing songs. He's not even supposed to be there, and it adds this entirely new, disgusting layer to the inevitability of it all that you're already feeling when you're reading this book and you know what happens. I feel like this entire book is just going to be a series of increasingly potent salt on the wound of knowing how it ends. Anyways, also joining him in the Chamber of Despair this year, we have Maisley, who we definitely knew existed, but I remember nothing about. Or, I mean, I guess more accurately, I don't remember what is actually canon and what is only true in all of the fan fiction that I've read about this in the past 10 years. People love writing about Maisley in fan fiction, but she's here, and everybody apparently hates her and thinks that she's really stuck up, which I don't think is lore that we had before. Then you have this guy named Wyatt, who just got super unlucky because he's 18, so he was about to be free, but he got reaped instead, and it turns out that his family also runs bets on the tributes every year, so he's not particularly well liked either. But honestly, right now, I kind of like him, which I hope is not a take that ages badly. And then the last tribute, because again, there are 4 from every district this year, we have Luella, who appears to be the Rue figure for this book. She's just a really nice and sweet 13-year-old girl who is definitely just drafted to be cannon fodder. Like, I know how the story ends, but because they used to be friends, Haymitch kind of sees her as this like little sister type. They decide to be allies. So yeah, that's the squad. Thrilled to see them all build an unbreakable bond and then die horribly. Okay, 20 pages later, and they're at the parade dressed up in their disgusting fucking coal miner costumes, and there's a chariot crash, and Luella is just dead, I guess. She's cooked. I look down as the spiked wheels of the District 6 chariot close in on ours. I see the sparks, feel the axles shredding, and lunge for Luella, hoping to brace her. She's reaching for me just as the wheel collapses, and we're catapulted into the air. Next thing I know, I'm lying on the ground, my hand in a puddle of blood as the lights of the Capitol flash like fireflies above me. This is better, I tell myself. Better than dying in the arena. Better than weasels and starvation and swords. I'm embracing that when I realize the blood isn't mine. That fate isn't mine. And the tribute who's escaped to the arena is Luella. She's already fucking dead. What? Honestly, I'm too surprised to even really be that sad about it. Like, obviously you know that she's going to die, but I don't know, man. I expected her to make it to like page 300 at least. So that's insane, but whatever. Moving on, I guess. The Easter eggs in this book are insane. I feel like I'm collecting the entire Hunger Games extended universe as like Infinity Stones. It's like everybody over 30 in this franchise is here and lined up and ready to suffer. And I'm too afraid at this point to Google anything because it's been a little bit too long since this came out. The wikis have definitely been updated by now, but I also haven't done a reread in a while. So if I just am wrong about something, if I lie about something that I'm definitely supposed to know from the rest of the series, I'm just gonna correct it in post because I feel like I'm hallucinating right now with all of the references that I only like 75% of the way get. So many of them, I'm just like, surely this isn't the same guy. Like, it probably is the same guy, but what if it's not. For example, haymitch has this hot, rebellious, covey girlfriend who is definitely going to die, right? And her mom, who has been dead for a long time, she was apparently a baird, which, like, there's a really annoying conspiratorial part of me that's like, Lucy Gray? Is Lucy Gray so back? How is that even possible? And like, almost certainly not, right? But also, I don't know, man. Maybe Mockingjay Pin has been mentioned. Tam Amber's here. Wyrus, rest in peace. God bless. You would have loved TikTok. Wyrus is here, and she just won her games the previous year. She's a mentor now for 12 for haymitch because they don't have another mentor since Lucy Gray's their only victor, and she got the fuck out of there. So they get Wyrus, but then they also get Mags. God bless. Rest in peace, my queen. Truly a lethal duo, by the way. Beatty, the tech guy from District 3, is also here, but the twist to that is that he's here to mentor his own 12-year-old son who got reaped as punishment for him doing an act of rebellion, which I feel like I knew that happened, but I also could just be making that up. But either way, it's pretty fucking brutal. I can't think of anything to say to comfort him, but I try. This isn't your fault, but it is, entirely. I took a risk. I didn't suspect that I'd been found out until the reaping. The timing was calculated. If I'd known, I could have killed myself, and Dampert would be safe at home. That is how snow works. Kids book, by the way. Read the original trilogy at 11, by the way. There were also other cameos back in 12. Like, haymitch's best friend is a guy named Burdock Everdeen. Relation to Katniss's dad feels probable. I mean, that might even just be Katniss's dad. I don't know. I don't remember this guy's fucking name. I can't fact check myself. But if that's true, it's pretty wild. It really recontextualizes haymitch's relationship that he has with Katniss. Also, our boy Burdock is pining after this girl who is probably Katniss's mom, but I don't remember her name either because I don't pay attention to anything apparently. I'm going to have to reread this entire series at some point, but for now, I'm experiencing this raw and fresh as God intended. So haymitch is talking with President Snow and he says, I have a belated birthday gift for you. Info, haymitch's birthday was the day of the reaping because fuck haymitch, I guess. I have a belated birthday gift for you. I want to treat it with the gratitude it deserves. He inclines his head in the direction of the conservatory. Standing in the doorway is Luella McCoy. Huh? Snowlands on Top mentioned, by the way. Dude, did they clone her? Is she a fucking robot? Is she a mutt? Is she a mutt? I vaguely feel like I remember this in the back of my head, but I feel like I'm clawing at a deep repressed memory right now, but I just... Okay, that's the end of part 1. I'm gonna stop there. It's like 2 in the morning. I don't have the IQ points to figure out what the fuck is going on. Interrupting my mental breakdown for like 2 minutes to talk about the sponsor for today's video, which is actually just me. I'm the sponsor because I'm watching a Patreon. I'm fully aware of the optics of doing this right now in the current economic moment, so I don't know. This is probably bad advertising, but I just want to say off the jump that you do not have to subscribe to this. Everything I do that is high effort, like this video, is still going to be free. I'm still going to be doing it. My Patreon, in comparison, is going to be a relatively casual affair that really only gives you like 1.5 things that you could definitely live without if you need to like feed yourself. So please never feel any pressure from me because I'm just happy that you're watching my videos. But if you do choose to join my Patreon, what do you get? First of all, you will get 1 additional monthly video that is on something that is of interest to me. Maybe book related, maybe not. Sometimes it's going to be different. And frequently this will be on something that is kind of niche that I otherwise probably wouldn't make a video about publicly just because I feel like only 3% of my audience would care. But I imagine that 3% is a lot more likely to also subscribe to my Patreon. So this is additional content for people like that. And this is the main perk because I'm self-aware. I know that I post probably a lot less on this platform than most of the other booktubers that you follow. I never grew out of the crippling perfectionism issues that I developed as a child. So this is a way for you to get more of my thoughts on things in a casual setting if you have decided for some reason that those thoughts are of value to you. The second thing that you get, the 0.5, is a nominal book club. And I say nominal because I'm not going to be launching a Discord or anything. Discords kind of scare me, to be honest with you, growing up on the side of the internet that I grew up on. So instead of that, every month we can vote on a book inside of the Patreon, and then I'll have 2 discussion posts, one midway through and then one at the end of the month. And we can share our thoughts and feelings and opinions, and I'll reply to you and we can bond and it'll be great. Again, this is so low-key that it's actually kind of unimaginable. There are 2 subscription tiers and they're practically identical. So there's no real reason option to give me more money, unless that's just the kind of guy that you are and you want to, then you have the option and I appreciate it, but you definitely don't have to. I tried to keep it pretty simple because I take actually being able to do this sustainably very seriously, but hopefully it's at least a little bit valuable and interesting for any of you guys who do decide to subscribe. And if you do, I really appreciate it. But even if you don't, I still really appreciate you. And I'm really glad that you're here and that I can even like consider the fact that enough people might care about what I have to say to do something like this. If you would like to subscribe, the link is in my description and will be eternally starting now. But that's it. Okay, let's get back to it. Hello, good afternoon. A new day has broken, and it's so much more obvious than what I was saying last night in like a dissociative and conspiratorial haze. It's just another person, the Luella doppelganger, and Snow's team just gave her the double reach around classic Peeta Mellark special where they made her forget all of her relevant memories until she really thought that she was Luella, and that's what's going on. They're gonna pass her off as being the same person. My name is Luella McCoy. I'm from District 12. You're not, I tell her, then address Snow. She's not. Anyone can see it. I doubt it. Her family, maybe a few close friends. No one outside of the drunken audience at the parade even witnessed the accident. People will believe she's Luella, especially since you'll be there by her side, coaching her like the good ally you are. A perfect pair in what I am determined to make a perfect quarter quell. Actually psychopathic behavior from Snow, but I would expect nothing less. I mean, none of you should expect anything less. And if you did, it's because you were like too poisoned by the fact that Tom Blythe is hot, so that's cool. Effie mentioned Effie trinket appearance. Let's go! Oh, she's just as dripless as she always is. This is great. Okay, I'm like 200 pages in and I want to do a check-in because this feels like a good break point. We are finally through all of the preamble. We're about to get into the actual games. And notes, generally, Maisie, extremely iconic, and I was hoping that she would be. I love a good mean bitch with a heart of gold, maybe because I kind of relate to that, but let's not dig into that too much. Maisie's whole thing is helping other tributes with their tokens, like the items that they're allowed to bring from home into the arena. She's able to take those and make them prettier and also more functional. And then when she's not doing that, she's just roasting the shit out of everybody in the capital. She doesn't give a fuck. I think she's hilarious. I just have such an appreciation for characters like that who have such a reckless disregard for their personal safety that they decide that having any kind of filter at all would be stupid and lame. Wyatt, the other 12 tribute, also great at this point. Love is smart as well. Plutarch is also here. I don't even know if I've mentioned that, but Plutarch is in charge of all of like the television coverage for District 12 specifically, so he has a pretty big role in this book. And can we just take a moment for Plutarch? I still remember how gagged I was in Catching Fire when it was revealed that Plutarch was actually a rebel insider spy, and you can see the seeds of that. He's already scheming, he's already plotting, mostly because in terms of what the scheme actually is, haymitch has just been invited to participate in this plot that Beatty and his son came up with, and they're trying to break the arena. Like, it's supposed to be kind of a water dungeon, so there's this massive water tank, and haymitch and Ampert are supposed to like go and blow it up so that way it drowns the sublevel beneath the arena where all of the game makers are. Ampert, by the way, Beatty's son, adorable, whip smart. I'm already preparing to face deep despair and emotional devastation when inevitably he dies before he's able to carry out the plot, because one truly despicable thing about the Sunrise on the Reaping reading experience at this juncture is that tonally right now you have such a feeling of hope inside of the book with the scheme that they're scheming, and then also there's this big alliance that has emerged that is just everybody except for the careers in District 5. We're getting all of these friendships that are forming between haymitch and the other District 12 people, but also other small moments as well. But like, we know how this ends. Reading this book right now, I feel like Orpheus has just made it to the underworld and negotiated for the release of Eurydice, and they're about to start their trek back, and you're like, wow, they really might make it this time, knowing full well that they don't. I'm so like brain rotted on Hadestown right now. All of these people that I'm starting to like, I know they die, but like, I guess this is just how it is, because obviously if all of this succeeded and there was a revolution, then the original trilogy wouldn't need to exist. But it's just 25 more years of heartbreak for these characters. 25 years of vibrant lives that were cut short because they had the misfortune of getting reaped 25 years before the end of the reapings. I don't know, man. It's just, I don't feel prepared to handle this, but we're doing it anyways. Let's go. Woo. I'm like actually stressed out. So Beatty's plan is working, right? Like haymitch was actually able to blow up the tank, and let me just say, haymitch's backstory has always been like a little bit question mark to me, because the axe bouncing off the force field thing, it doesn't seem honestly like that big of a deal. Even in this book, we learned that Wyrus's games, where her arena was just all mirrors all over the place, so it was really easy to get disoriented, she was able to win because she found a spot in the arena that nobody was able to figure out, not even the Capitol to send her sponsor gifts. Like, nobody was able to figure out where she actually was based on the mirrors. And presumably they don't kill her entire family. Like, I feel like the arena is used as a part of the game a lot by people who end up winning. So it was always a little bit weird to me that haymitch was punished so spectacularly for winning using the arena in a way that was still pretty theatrical. Like, that image of the axe reflecting into the force field back into the surprised face of the only other girl who was left alive. I feel like the people watching in the Capitol would be fairly happy with that ending. So it was always like a little bit weird to me that they killed his entire family for it. But now it makes more sense. Not only was his reaping a sham to begin with because he was rebellious and intervened at the beginning, now he was also an actual part of a rebel plot that was successful inside of the arena. It just didn't have the results that the rebels were hoping it would. So like, yeah, I mean, now he's going to win, and obviously they're going to kill his entire family. Like, it kind of low-key, it makes sense to me. I don't know how he's gonna get from point A to point B, because by all means all of the mutts should be targeting him right now. You would think after that the Capitol would just insta-kill him with mutts like they did with Amperd, which, by the way, I mean, we saw it coming, but it was still sad. A cannon fires. Somewhere, Beatty's heart breaks into fragments so small it can never be repaired. Literally, shut up, shut up, shut up. He's been through enough. Whatever, now his son is dead, and the plan didn't even really work. How are they gonna get out of this one? I don't know, but I'm locked in. And again, I'm like actually stressed out. I'm stressed out. Also, Wyatt's dead, by the way. He was just off screens during the bloodbath, which is honestly kind of insulting to me personally. And then after that, Lulu somehow found haymitch, and they were hanging out. I started to get the impression that maybe she was like the backup explosive somehow, but that theory didn't have time to marinate because she just like falls face first into a field of flowers and dies because everything in the arena is poison. So yeah, that's cool. The only other competitor that we know and care about at this point is Maisley, who's just out there wreaking havoc. No one knows where she's at, but I'm sure that she'll make a reappearance. I feel sick. It's fine, it's fine. We're gonna keep going. Dude, haymitch just 3v1'd careers, killed 2 of them, and then Maisley swept in with the blowgun. Let's go! Oh, it's starting. Goodbye. Goodbye, Maisley Donner, who I loathed, then grudgingly respected, then loved. Not as a sweetheart or even a friend. A sister, I'd said. But what is that exactly? I think about our journey. Everything from sniping with her in those early days after the reaping to battling those pink birds. I guess that's my answer. A sister is someone you fight with and fight for, tooth and nail. I'm fucked. I'm so fucked. Cool. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Oh. Tears come and I let them fall unchecked. It's okay to cry around Mags. Oh, she's dead too. She's dead too. She doesn't even die in this book, but she's dead also. That's so sad. He never gets better. He never gets better. He never gets better. He just waits to die. That's so sad. It's so fucked up. 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 I don't even know what to say to you right now. Great book. Just really taken me back to how I felt for the first time when I was 11, experiencing the original trauma of it all. Still not cool, by the way, even though I'm 24, still not fucking cool. Actually sadistic ending. Actually fucking sadistic, Suzanne. I do not forgive you for what you've just done to me. Like this. When Lenore Dove comes to me now, she's not angry or dying, so I think she's forgiven me. She's grown older with me, her face etched with fine lines, her hair touched with gray. Like she's been living her life beside me as the years passed, instead of lying in her grave. Still so rare and radiant. I fulfilled my promise about the reaping, or at least lent a hand, but she says I can't come to her yet. I have to look after my family. And his family is Katniss and Peeta. And he finally tells everyone, he tells all of his friends about what happened and why he is the way that he is, and Katniss and Peeta bring him geese
because Lenore liked geese. Oh god. PETA fashioned some kind of incubator, and when the eggs hatched, mine was the first face those goslings saw. Sometimes they just graze on the green, but on fine days, we've been known to wander on over to the meadow. Lenore Dove likes it best there, and I'm content where she's content. Like the geese, we really did mate for life. It's so fucked up. It's so fucked up. It's so fucked up. Oh, it's so fucked up. Sadistic. It's actually fucking sadistic to give him this ending, this like post Mockingjay epilogue bullshit. And the worst part about it is that, like, of course this is how it goes. Of course this is how it ends for him, because how do you come back from this? How do you come back from having everything that you love taken away from you, ripped away from you? It doesn't matter if you win. It still doesn't fix what's wrong here, and what's wrong here, it doesn't bring them back. And I know that, but it breaks my fucking heart. Kids book, by the way, young adult book, by the way. Do you guys think that they're charging $28 instead of $22? Because this is supposed to make you cry a very adult amount of tears. And it's not even just him. I feel like I'm reliving every single death from the entire franchise all at the same time. It is frying my fucking brain. It just breaks my heart that the absolute happiest ending that we could get for Haymitch is an ending where at least he's not alone with it. At least he's not completely alone with all of these big feelings and all of his grief. And he still has it. He still carries it with him every single day, and he always will until he finally dies. And there's no healing that. There's no fixing it, but at least he's not alone. At least PETA can build him an incubator for his little geese. Oh, it's so fucked up. It's so fucked up. Anyways, I don't have any other thoughts right now. There's nothing left inside of my head. I'm gonna go get some dinner, and then I'll come back and talk to you more in depth about this wonderful story. Yippee!
Okay, hello. I have much to say. There is much to unpack. And let's do this in parts. First of all, final recap. What happens after Maisie joins up with Haymitch? So obviously, Haymitch and Ambert's plan to drown all of the computers and the game makers below the arena doesn't work. But Haymitch, at this point, is still like, I'm gonna die either way. Like, they will kill me. So might as well keep trying to fuck some stuff up. So he navigates to the north part of the arena, which is this, like, hedge maze thing that he's able to puzzle his way through. And on the other side of this maze is the edge of the arena, which is where the famed force field is. And it's protecting the generator that is providing power to the arena. But there's nothing that he can really do about that. There's no obvious way of getting through the force field. So Haymitch and Maisie just chill. They hang out. They bond over both being live hostages for the Capitol's whims and how much that fucking blows. And around this point, they run into some game makers who were doing some repairs on the little, like, entrance to the basement that Haymitch was messing with earlier. Haymitch and Maisie run into these guys, but so does also the final pair of remaining careers from District 1 and District 4. And in a display of unity, Maisie and one of the careers both kill one of the game makers that's doing the repairs. And as a result of that, they both get super punished. They get mobbed by mutts, and Maisie dies, and I hated that. Haymitch, by the way, never really gets attacked or singled out in the same way that other tributes do, which is one of my, like, only problems with this book. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But whatever, he's allowed to live. Maisie dies. At this point, it's just Haymitch, a girl from District 1, and then a girl from District 6, who's described as being like a wounded baby bird. She's just super pure and innocent, which is how you know she's going to die instantly. And she's just been starving to death inside of a tree for the entire games, but Haymitch is able to find her. He attempts to nurse her back to health and then leaves the scene for like 3 seconds to go get supplies, hears her scream, comes running back, only to find that the District 1 girl has decapitated her and is like holding her head up, which I don't know if this movie, when it comes out, is going to be rated fucking R or what, but this in combination with the carnivorous squirrels only leaving behind a, quote, small white pile of bones when Ampert died, it's just, you know, it's a lot. Anyways, Haymitch does the thing when he wins, and I was so wrong, by the way. He doesn't actually throw the axe into the force field. The girl from District 1 does, but Haymitch knows that it'll just rebound back into the place where she threw it, so it ends up taking her out. So that's what happens. Haymitch wins, which is actually extremely unfortunate given the fact that after all of his antics in the games, Snow fucking hates this guy. After Haymitch is out, he's locked up by Snow, basically in solitary confinement inside of an apartment for weeks, for a long time, until Eventually, he's toured around the capital and brought to parties and made to do a bunch of victor things, which haymitch is really trying to pander and be really good at, because at this point he's really worried about what's going to happen to his family. And he finally sees the supercut of his games, which of course is butchered to high hell. He's basically edited like a reality TV show contestant, where only his actions that serve the selfish rascal narrative that he had during interviews are included in the cut, and everything else is either deleted, or the timeline is fucked with, or it's just made to be completely unrecognizable. So that sucks for him. And then he's finally able to go back to District 12, but he arrives only to see that his house is on fire, and his mother and his little brother have like just died, basically in sync with his arrival. They literally die hugging each other as haymitch goes home. And then when he goes to meet up with Lenore Dove, who has been in prison this entire time and has only just been released, somehow, some way, Snow has arranged for there to be a bag of gumdrops just there at the scene of their reunion in the woods. And Lenore Dove really loves her gumdrops, apparently. She picks them up off of the forest floor, and haymitch, I shit you not, feeds her one of them because cute reunion, how wonderful, what a nice thing to do as a couple. No, fuck you, no. They're poisoned, and haymitch notices this when he realizes that all of the gumdrops inside of the package are the blood red of President Snow fucking meddling again. But at that point, of course, it's too late. She dies, and haymitch then realizes that his punishment for winning the games is that every single person that he loves will die. So instead of befriending people, instead of leaning on anybody inside of his life for support, he just locks himself up in his house and drinks copiously, which honestly, fair. I feel like I need a shot after finishing this book. And then you get the time skip into the epilogue, which I basically read to you already. So yeah, that's the vibe. Just fuck you, haymitch, fuck you, Pain Simulator for like 300 pages. I have a couple of miscellaneous random notes because I was so locked into reading the last 100 pages of this book that I didn't take like a single second to vlog the thoughts running through my head. So here they are. 1. When haymitch is in solitary confinement after he wins, Snow has him watch a 24-hour feed of like propaganda compilation videos from all of the previous games, and one of those videos is Lucy Gray singing the ballad of Lucy Gray. Footage that, if I so recall, should have been deleted from everywhere inside of the world, but because Snow is a sick man, he's kept it, and he uses it in this moment to taunt haymitch. But the even crazier part is that haymitch instantly clocks the fact that Snow knew Lucy Gray based on Snow's shadow appearing in this video, in combination with just a bunch of other cryptic bullshit that Snow had said about Lenore Dove earlier in the book. And like, how haymitch kept this a secret for 30 years is beyond me. I mean, I guess he had nobody to tell, considering the fact that he has no friends or family, but it's still fucking crazy. Secondly, Mags and Wyrus, they get tortured after haymitch wins because they are correctly assumed to be a part of the plot to like blow up the water tank and stuff, and that is where Wyrus gets her brain damage. That's where it happens. It's all from the 25th Hunger Games. Basically, all of the middle-aged people inside of the Rebel Victor Squad have a shared collective trauma from 25 years prior, and that is why haymitch appears to respect Beatty and Wyrus and Mag so much during Catching Fire. It's because he knows how competent they are and how much they care and how much they're willing to go down for the cause. Beatty, by the way, his trauma is off-screened. We don't get to see him react to the death of his son, but we do find out that he has a wife with a child on the way, and I don't think he has a wife or a child anymore by the time the 75th Hunger Games comes around. I could be wrong about that, but I tried to Google it and I didn't see anything, which also implies that everybody that he loves has also died because of Snow, so that's cool. Also, when his family dies, haymitch goes to their funeral, obviously, and the song that they sing there is the same song that Lucy Gray sings when all of the snakes are released into the arena and it's like the end of the games. She was singing a fucking funeral song, either for herself, her own funeral, or alternatively, once she realized what was happening, she is singing a funeral song to represent all of the other dead tributes inside of the arena, which is just like insane lore. It's insane lore to me. I don't know if anybody else relates to this. Lucy Gray, by the way, also has a tombstone inside of the Covey Cemetery, which whether she's actually buried there or not, who knows? It could just be ceremonial. I don't know. I'm sure that there's so much more inside of this book in terms of Easter eggs and connections that you can find. I feel like to fully appreciate this, you have to have the rest of the series like extremely fresh inside of your mind. So at some point when I feel ready, when I feel healed, I want to do a full reread. But yeah, those were just a few of the things things that I noticed from the book that just kind of blew my mind. But let's move on. General review. General, what did I think? Where do I begin? This was great. I thought this was great. I mean, I do feel like it was kind of emotional blackmail, but let's be honest with ourselves. Every Hunger Games universe book is a little bit emotional blackmail. It's kind of the thing that they do. Haymitch is such a tragic character to me, in part because it feels like he's caught between being a reflection of Katniss and Peeta, and then also President Snow. Much like Katniss, Haymitch is angry. He's mad at the way things are, and he's pushed into the forefront of the rebellion inside of the games, and he really tries to do everything that he can to help. But even more than being like Katniss, to me, even though he has kind of a Katniss-shaped role inside of this story, he's really like Peeta. He's like a failed Peeta, because the person in his life who really was angry about the world, who really wanted to change things, was Lenore Dove. And just like Peeta adored Katniss, Haymitch adored Lenore. He adored Lenore above anything else, above any potential for revolution, and also, I think, knowing full well that she did not completely feel the same. And I'm not saying that she doesn't love him, because she obviously does. She really, really cares about him, but more than that, she's mad. She wants her people to be free. She wants herself to be free. And she doesn't even tell Haymitch about half of the shit that she's doing to rebel. She's not really thinking about him when she's making her moves, like when Haymitch ends up stepping in to help her and he gets reaped. And I'm not saying this as an indictment of her, because she does really, really love him, but it's just more complicated than that, in a way that I think is pretty realistic. But for Haymitch, it's not more complicated than that. He is thinking about her all of the time. He's thinking about how his actions might affect her, whether he'll see her again, whether she'll be able to live with all of the different things that he does inside of the games. And I think he's a lot like Peeta in that way, who also has this firebrand rebel girlfriend and cares as well about all of the things that she's doing, but definitely cares about her personally more than any of it. Peeta is like Haymitch if Lenore Dove was never taken away from him. And likewise with that, the parallel with Snow is also fascinating, because Snow even says, he's like, bet I know a thing or two about your Dove. Like what? Like, she's delightful to look at, swishes around in bright colors, and sings like a mockingjay. You love her, and oh, how she seems to love you. Except sometimes you wonder, because her plans don't include you at all. Because Snow, like Haymitch, like Peeta, also once loved a girl who is going to change the world. But unlike Haymitch and unlike Peeta, Snow is also, to the end, fundamentally self-interested. Snow knows that Lucy Gray loves him, but he also knows that she loves something else, something that is bigger than either of them. And that terrifies him, because he wants to possess her completely. He can't stand the fact that there's a world where possibly she picks something else over him. But even though she is long gone at this point, she clearly never really left him. He never really gets over it. That's why he still has her fucking tapes after 40 years. 40 years, and he can't even clean out his camera roll all the way. And my theory is that that's why Snow comes down as hard as he does instantly on Haymitch's family and his loved ones, because it really does happen right away as soon as he gets back to the district. He could easily just kill one of Haymitch's loved ones and then keep the others around as collateral, so that way Haymitch stays in line, but he doesn't. He just takes them out instantly, as traumatically as possible, and leaves no incentive at all for Haymitch to obey him moving forward. It's nothing like how, for example, Snow handles Beetee and his punishment with his son. And I feel like the reason for this, the reason for something that is more vicious than it is calculated, I feel like it's because Snow doesn't want to give Haymitch even a minute more with a girl that reminds him so strongly of Lucy Gray, even if it's for no reason. Like, he has never met this girl. Basically, all that he knows is that she's Covey, and he's imprinted the rest of his own experience onto Haymitch. But the facts of the situation are still the same. Snow doesn't want Haymitch to win and succeed and break the system and not face consequences for it, because that's the life that Snow could have had if he'd been less selfish, if he was a better person. But Haymitch breaks that cycle, right? Instead of looking at the way that Peeta loves Katniss and feeling jealousy or disdain, Haymitch is determined to keep her alive, because he fucking knows, he gets it. He knows how much his life blows now that he lost his girlfriend. He knows, and it didn't make him bitter, it made him wise, and it made him kind, even though there is nothing about this world and about how he was treated that deserves that level of kindness. And I love him, and I'm just really sad that I feel like he got the worst possible results from all of these sister stories, all of his character foils. The mental image of him just continuing to pseudo-hallucinate Lenore growing older with him after the revolution is over is insane work. But at the same time, I do feel like it was the truest possible ending that they could have given for his character. Because what do you do at that point? What do you do when you've granted the dying wish of the love of your life, when nobody else you care for will face the same horrors that you once did? What do you reach for at that point when everybody that you love is still dead? For Haymitch, in the epilogue, it's just his new family. It's Katniss and Peeta, and that gives him the smallest amount of peace, but it doesn't fix him. It doesn't bring back the people that he's lost. He still drinks in the epilogue. He's not cured. He says that he's probably gonna die soon because at this point his liver has just rotted away, and he's okay with that even though he's still really young. He's like, what, 40 at the end of the series? Like, his life should barely be half over, if that. And it just sucks because even though he's free, he's moving forward in a world that more than anything he just wishes that the people he once loved could have seen. But moving on from my tale of woe to a question that I asked earlier in this video, why does this book exist? Why now? Disclaimer, I'm still doing this like kind of immediately after finishing this book, so I'm going to have to let that marinate a little bit, I think, before I have a complete opinion. But for now, here are my thoughts. This is obviously a story about propaganda, but I think it's more complicated than it appears on the surface. I mean, obviously that's true because fucking Suzanne Collins wrote this, but sincerely, I mean that because obviously Haymitch's reaping being a complete sham and Luella being replaced with a stunt double after she dies before the games, and Haymitch's games in general just being redacted and re-edited to make him fit the archetype that he presented himself as during the interview, and also to remove all evidence of the rebel efforts, but also to change how Haymitch was portrayed. Obviously that's propaganda, right? Obviously them forcing him to play nice during all of the Victor stuff and the parties at fear for his family's lives, which we later see were never going to be saved anyways. That is also a form of propaganda, controlling how he interacts with the world. But this being about propaganda is also true in a positive sense, as this book relates to the main trilogy, because Haymitch tells Katniss basically none of this. He keeps her purely on a need-to-know basis inside of the original trilogy, even when they're both a part of the revolution effort, and as a result, as readers, before this book, we only know what happened from the perspective of Katniss. We know what Haymitch told her, we know what she saw on the tapes when she watched them, and we assume it to be true. We assume that we know what happened during his games, but we actually only knew the propagandized version. And that's why Haymitch getting sham reaped at the beginning of this book is so surprising, because you just assume that he got unlucky, right? You know that it's double the tributes, you assume it's double the despair, you assume he gets reaped in a normal way. You assume that the 75th Hunger Games is the first actual organized, earnest attempts to break the game from the inside. But in reality, that's happened at least one time before, 25 years ago. I mean, I would argue that the implication here is that it's happened even more times beyond this. But if this was successful at the time, Haymitch could have been Katniss. That's crazy. And that's context that we just don't have, because it doesn't serve Katniss for Haymitch to tell her the truth, for Haymitch to tell her that, oh, the last time we tried to do this, yeah, they killed my entire family and we failed. Like, that doesn't help anybody. So Haymitch feeds into his own wheel of propaganda. He lets that narrative be the narrative. And in doing so, up through the epilogue of this book, which happens after that main series, Haymitch, for a variety of reasons, is a part of erasing his own truth. And I think that's an important distinction, because obviously we get commentary on propaganda inside of Mockingjay when Coin is trying to figure out how to use Katniss as a symbol for hope in the revolution, but they're also exploiting her and her pain, and also the pain of thousands of people to do so, because that's propaganda, and it's still propaganda even if it's coming from the team that's doing the rebel effort. But changing how you perceive an event that's happening and picking a symbol for a revolution is different substantively than erasing the truth of what actually happened. That's what's happening in Haymitch's book. So much of the truth of his games is stripped out of his story, and we believed it when we read that original trilogy. We believed our own assumptions about how he was reaped and how he won and why he was punished from what we knew about his backstory. And that's what makes it, again, surprising when things are different from that inside of this book. We are not immune to propaganda. I am not immune to propaganda. You are not immune to propaganda. People can lie to you about what happened and have good intentions. The good guys also do propaganda, or like Haymitch, feed into their own propaganda, and you have to decide whether to understand that and to be okay with it, because sometimes maybe you shouldn't be. Maybe it wasn't okay for Haymitch to lie to Katniss. Maybe it's not okay for her to not have the full story. Maybe she acts really, really differently if she knows what happened happened during Haymitch's games. And yeah, it feels like a pretty big theme. That, and also the idea that the revolution is not just a spontaneous thing. There are people in Pan Am for at least a generation, at least 25 years, who are organized enough to be attempting to bring down the capital inside of a games. And obviously reading that is pretty heartbreaking because you know it doesn't work out. You know that they still have a ways to go. But at the same time, I don't know, there's a quote near the end where Plutarch is trying to recruit Haymitch into more rebel efforts, and they have this conversation. Oh, I see. He's going to overthrow the capital, is he? Maybe one day, but we can't any of us do it alone. You demonstrated a lot of nerve and intelligence in that arena. We need your help. Me? I say in disbelief. I am living proof that the capital always wins. I tried to keep that sun from rising on another reaping day. I tried to change things, and now everybody's dead. You don't want me, and I don't want him. I don't want help from anybody in the capital ever again. I could never trust them. We do want you. You shook up the capital, both figuratively and literally, with that earthquake. You were capable of imagining a different future. And maybe it won't be realized today. Maybe not in our lifetime. Maybe it'll take generations. We're all part of a continuum. Does that make it pointless? And I think that quote really captures the other half of the message inside of this book, which, in being kind of an Avengers Assemble, really shows you that these people have always been here. They've always been fighting. And the fight didn't start with the win. It doesn't start in Catching Fire or in Mockingjay. It starts a long time before that. And I mean, all of this obviously feels especially relevant in the world that we're in right now, but I think that's the most uplifting message that you can take from this absolute fucking torture chamber of a book. It's the message that imagining a future that is different from the one that we have right now isn't pointless just because horrible things are happening around us. That doesn't make a better future impossible. It doesn't make a better future not worth fighting for. And yeah, that's my take on the themes. Obviously, I thought this was great. I did have a couple of minor qualms, like why Haymitch never dies inside of the arena, even though they have creatures that clearly can kill him whenever. I also feel like the Luella/Lulu storyline could have been better explored. Really, most of the tributes that weren't named Maisily, I feel like we didn't really get to know enough to care about when they died. And that's okay. I mean, obviously, you only have so much time, but I feel like a couple more scenes with a couple more characters could have really made those moments hit especially hard. The book also has the subtlety of a brick, which, I mean, given the fact that there are still so many people inside of this fandom who are like thirsting after President Snow, honestly, I get it. That would drive me to retirement if I were Suzanne, so I understand not wanting your work to be misconstrued. Speaking of which, Haymitch/Effie, the crack ship that was kind of made a little bit more real inside of the movies, it's finally canonically dead now that we know that Haymitch spends the rest of his life pining after his dead girlfriend, which, not to be a buzzkill, but I'm personally happy with that result because the whole vibe of their relationship was always just kind of weird to me. I wouldn't be surprised if killing that ship was like a sub goal of this book. And I just mean in canon. Like, you can do whatever you want inside of fan fiction, but it was weird to me that people were starting to treat it like it was canonically true. I mean, Effie's a great character. I like her. I think she's funny, and I appreciate having somebody in there who has to like deprogram all of the insane bullshit that they've been taught their entire life. But I feel like Haymitch and Effie just remind each other of all of the worst bits of their lives. So I'm not sad to see it go. I do wonder if we're going to get another book and it's going to be like a prequel trilogy before the main trilogy. But I mean, to me, I feel like the ending of this book, especially the epilogue, felt kind of like a full circle moment for the series, him meeting up with the characters after everything happens. And I kind of just don't feel like we need another one. I mean, to be fair, I also didn't really think that we needed this one. And I do appreciate a lot what this book added to the universe. So I don't know, man. I trust Suzanne. I know for a fact that she doesn't have my best interests at heart, given what I've just experienced, but I do trust her. So I'll be first in line if another one's released, but if this is the ending, I feel like I'm pretty happy with it. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I could ramble about this forever, but I'm going to stop. I feel like I've hit on most of my big thoughts. I'm sure I'll have more to say by the time that I do my wrap up and like read all of the online theories that I know that people definitely have and see all of the like Easter egg compilations. But for now, thank you for accompanying me on this very fun, whimsical, lovely journey. If you had a good time, you should tell me. If you had a bad time with this book, then we can commiserate. But I'll be back relatively soon with my descent into madness, my next video. So it's been real. Love you guys. Okay, that's that. Bye!